All right, thank you, everyone. Welcome. I just want to confirm if you are currently sharing your screen. No, I'm not currently sharing my screen. It's just my face. Well, I can't even see my face, so I don't know, but it's supposed to be my face. Can I record this session with my PC? Yeah, feel free. You can record it. But the recorded session is going to be for sale, so recorded version to yourself. You might as well use it in live class. All right. Oh my, people are just joining. Why? What's here get to join? Let's do this next class. Let's join before 9 so that I don't have to be admitting people by 9 o'clock. Okay. So I just want to welcome everyone. Thanks for joining this class. This really nice, interesting, and free. I'm going to teach you as much as I can within the short period of time. We have 1 hour, essentially 45 minutes. I'll use 15 minutes for just questions. Okay. So I'm going to start with a slide that I designed on Canva, of course. My slide is incomplete and it's a designer problem, but please manage it. All right, I'll share my screen now. Where is the share button? Okay, so present now. Share. All right, let me know if you can see my screen.
I see it.
Awesome, thank you. If you can use your voice, it will just be quick.
I can't see your screen.
No, you can't. Oh, someone can. Oh. How come?
I can see your screen. I can see your screen.
Okay, you can see my screen. Okay.
Yes,
great.
I can see your screen.
Cool. Thank you so much. All right.
I can see your screen.
Thank you. You can't? Maybe you should try and pin my screen. There's a way to pin my screen on the Meet app. So I think that's a challenge because other people can see my screen. All right, so let me get to it. This is going to be difficult to do this and admit people at the same time. So please, tomorrow, try and join in the class before 9 so that I don't have to add people and teach at the same time. Okay, cool. All right, so basic design principles, right? I'm going to teach you the basics. When it comes to design principles, there are a lot of things you're going to see. If you Google it, you'll see 7 design principles, 12 design principles, 10 design principles, and you might be exhausted, all right? But I've made 4 design principles here, and these 4 design principles are going to help you on a basic level. Why is you don't want to try to do too much, especially because I know many of you have never used Canva before, all right? Or some of you have. But I believe every one of you is it R or is whatever, which every one of you on this call, wow, is or are, right? The aim of learning the principles of design the other presentation up by Google Present, or what's that thing? Google Docs.
It's cracking. I can't hear you.
Same here, it's cracking.
If you give the same Google Doc to a designer and a non-designer, I'm so sorry. Thank you Google Slides. I paused when I saw that was breaking. I'm sorry. I will try. It should be my network. I'm really sorry about that. I go MTN and MTN has been really good here. I don't know why they are messing me up in my time of need. Okay, so if you give the same person same Google Doc to a designer and a non-designer, you're going to get 2 different results, right? And it's because they understand the principles. All right. Okay. Thank you. So I'm all good now. All right. So I'll just continue my slide. If I'm breaking up, please let me know so that I will slow down. All right. So this is the first lesson. Now let me give you an idea of what we're going to do. Today, I'm going to teach you the basic principles. On Wednesday, we're going to go into active design. So I'm going to design some things, and I'll need your help with knowing exactly what to design, okay? Needing your help in the sense that depending on what your feedback is and what most of you use Canva for, because I know some people use Canva for their work, some people use Canva for their businesses, some people use Canva for whatever it is I use Canva for. All right. So, but at least I'm sure we're going to design a banner, we're going to design a logo, we're going to design a business card, we're going to design some other things depending on what the feedback I get is. Okay. All right. So let's get down to it, right? Basic principles. It's all CRAP. CRAP. That's a good acronym for you to remember what it is. I'm moving on now. The first thing good design does is communicate. All right. So if you have this at the back of your mind, it's going to influence every step you take, every action that you make. The goal is I want whoever is seeing this to understand what I'm saying, right? And I want the person to see what I'm emphasizing, right? So you are in a sense controlling what the person sees and doesn't see, or what the person sees first, sees second, sees third, like that. But all in all, the goal is to communicate, and you have to do that as effectively as possible. All right. So my next slide. Oh yeah, so a few things about me. My name is David Rotimi. You probably know that already. Husband of Boro. Boro is my wife. She's an amazing woman. And I'm a pastor at Celebration Church in Christ for Christ with Joy. And I'm a graphic designer on Campaign. You can see all of that on my LinkedIn, right? So that's enough about me. Let's go right into the principles of design. All right. Contrasts, that's C. All right. Now, I'm going to be switching between, you know what, see what I'm going to do. While I'm working on this, I'm going to be drawing on Canva at the same time. So you're going to get a good grasp of how Canva works while I'm doing this. All right. So I'm going to be switching in between Canva, my slides. Okay. So contrasts, basically, so let me give you a good idea of how contrast works. All right, when you see this picture, obviously, without a shadow of a doubt, the colored image pops up in your face. That's a conscious attempt by the designer to ensure that you see that first. Okay, so that's supposed to, remember what I said of design is to communicate. So obviously, you're making everybody that sees this look at the colored umbrella, right? And what that does in practice or in a practical sense is when you have many texts, for example, in a design, and you want the one that you want them to see the most, you can separate or you can contrast that either by using a different color. So if everything is red and you put one that is green in the middle, everybody's going to have their eyes fixed on that one, right? So, that's so easy to understand.
Sorry, I can't see the slide. Sorry, I can't see the slide.
You can't see the slide? That's very strange. I think every other person can.
I was actually seeing it
I can't see
before.
the slide. If David is on your screen, you can unpin him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you see my slides? You
Okay,
can comment if you can.
I unpinned him and I can see.
Yes, I can.
Okay, thanks. So pin me and you'll see my slides. All right. So 3 ways to create contrasts in practical sense. Change in hue, value, and intensity. Now I'm going to practicalize this on Canva, right? So if you can see my Canva screen, you would see create a design. Now, for those of you who have never used Canva, I mean, you can just see me starting afresh. I'm assuming I want to create an Instagram post, all right? Because I think we're all Instagram people. So I'm going to click Instagram post. It's going to open up. Okay, it's opening up. Okay, cool. So here's how it works, right? Imagine designing a banner, right? And I want to say Happy New Year, right? I'm going to come here and click text, right? Add a heading and just write Happy New Year, yeah? Happy New Year. I just type Happy New Year, right? Now, the thing with Canva is you can see these grids. So I'm not going into details of how to use Canva exactly yet. I want you to understand the principles first, but you can just learn this along as we go, right? Canva is really smart. It helps you to it guides you basically. So you can see that my cursor is in the middle and it has shown me some grid lines to let me know that I'm in the middle. If I pull it up a little, it doesn't show the middle one, but it shows that I'm centralized to the middle. If I take it out of this, right, it doesn't show that I'm in the middle. Okay, so I want to put it in the middle, right? And I can expand this by clicking on this end, right? If I want to expand on both sides, I'll click it and press Alt or Option on Mac, right? Now, so this is it. Okay, imagine that the background of this design is, I just come to background, click background, pinkish-ish, right? So I'm just going to click background and the background shows us exactly what I clicked, right? Now, I'm going to change the color of everything here to say gray, which isn't very great, but I'm trying to make a point, all right? And the point is contrast, okay? 3 ways I can emphasize new, if new is what I want to emphasize. Imagine they're all the same color, right? Oh, you're in the waiting room. Okay, I'll add you now, sorry. Okay, so imagine that this is the design, and I want to emphasize new, right? What I'm going to do is I can either make new a darker color than the rest. So if I want to make a darker color, I'm just going to click on that and press black. All right. Now, obviously, when you look at this, new is what pops up to you, right? And I did that with color. All right. Only color. Now, imagine that they were all back to the same color and size, right? And I want to emphasize new by increasing the size, not changing the color. Okay. So I'm just going to increase the size of new. Come here, go to 48. No, sorry. Oh, I forgot. Canva doesn't separate the text. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that, right? Create a space. Okay. And then I'm going to paste it back, right? But this time, you know, we're supposed to maintain the same color. So imagine it's the same color, but I want to make it bigger than the rest. All right. So that's how to use size to create contrast. All right. So when you see this design, even though they're all the same color, new pops up to you. Right. So it's that simple, right? Let me go back to my with hue intensity. I can either make it darker, light shades. I can increase the size of the text, image, and objects. All right, so I just demonstrated that a bit for you. When you see this picture, obviously the red one strikes out to you. That's the effort of contrast, which is very obvious. Okay. Okay, somebody else is in the waiting room. Okay. All right, so on to the next slide. Repetition, that's the R in CRAP, right? So repetition breeds cohesiveness in a design. I'm going to use the same design I started with, and I'll use repetition. And you see how all the principles of design actually work together, right? Once a design pattern has been established, for example, if you look at this, you can see the dotted fabric. You can't what? You can't see the design. Try and pin my page so that you can see the design. Try and pin my page. Everyone else can. All right. So repetition basically is sorry. Okay, so I'm back to my slide now. Right, so basically establishing.
Can't see the design you're doing. It's just a slide showing on the screen.
He's talking.
Yeah, I'm not designing anything.
Not,
yeah, I'm talking with the slides. I'm not designing anything. Yeah, I'm currently on my
Slide.
Yes,
just
that's what I'm
slide
using
showing.
to explain what I'm explaining. I'm not designing anything right now. Do you understand? All right, so that's it. So repetition is really easy. When you repeat things, it creates a pattern. Very simply, if you repeat things, it will create a pattern. And when you create a pattern, it already just has a way of contrasting itself from every other thing, right? To be honest with you, right, design principles are better explained in practice. All right, so I'm going to practicalize this for you. All right, but let me finish with this. So basically, in short, repeat visual elements throughout your design. In practice, if you want to establish repetition, so how can you do that? Use the same heading, hierarchy, and fonts throughout. If it's a document, if it's a... Okay, you know what? In our next class, you see a lot of all these things play out practically, right? But I just want to help you understand what the principles are, right? So using the same color, you can see that here in this slide, the repetition is with the red circles. There's no variation. Red circle, red circle, red circle, red circle everywhere. Imagine there was another smaller green circle. Then there will be a mix of repetition and contrast, because you see that we are trying to make the green circle really, really obvious. Okay, so use the same colors, use the same logos or images. For example, if you're designing for social media and your logo is on a particular place on the page, you want your logo to be on the same place every single page of that design, right? That's repetition. Repetition creates a sense of give you a hang of what repetition feels like. Okay, this is really simple, but you have a good idea of what repetition feels like just from seeing elements repeated in the exact same way. All right, so let me do a little practical with the same designs we were working on now. All right, so we had Happy New Year. I don't know where it has disappeared to. Okay, so we had Happy New Year. Yeah. And I'm going to add some elements into this design, right? I'm going to come up to elements. So the elements are loading. There are different elements that you can use. But the way Canva is set up, it's set up to actually aid you in the sense that you don't have to do too much thinking, right? Typically, where you have these lines, for example, imagine I click on these lines and I bring it in, okay? And you can see the grids guiding me already. Really beautiful, okay? So I want to duplicate this. This is the duplicate button. I click duplicate, it duplicates. Now you can see that together, right? Which is alignment. I'm going to get to that. Okay. So, like, as simple as this is, it says a lot, right? Now, imagine that I duplicate this again. And I duplicate this again. Right? I'm trying to hold this button. Okay, so right, repetition is really more practical in when you're doing maybe branding related items where you want to have some consistency in repeating the exact same elements. All right, but apart from that, in basic design, repetition is an element that you can actually use to spice up your design basically. So I'm going to try something else now to help you see. Right, imagine that we had Happy New Year here, yeah, and I bring down Happy New Year. I'm going to duplicate Happy New Year now, right? But I'm going to change the color to really light gray or white. Right, yeah. I'll duplicate that again. Copy and paste. I've duplicated both of them again. I'm going to take this up, right? This is what repetition looks like with a spice of contrast. So you have repetition, you have the repetition of Happy New Year, 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 but you can see the one in the middle is standing out, right? So you can achieve contrast without repetition, basically. All right, so let me go back to my slides and continue so that we can proceed. Let me know if you're understanding so far, if there's anything that I've said that is very difficult or unclear. Look at this. If you subconsciously followed the exact way the design said you will read this, let me see your comment in the section. Oh, let me see your comment in the comment section. If you actually followed the way it did, yeah, exactly. Now, that is simply it felt like jazz. It wasn't jazz, right? What you see there is simply hierarchy. And what hierarchy does, hierarchy is not part of the elements I'm outlining today, but I just want to chip that in, right? What hierarchy does is it points you you say it got you. It points you to the most important thing, and you can only achieve hierarchy through contrast and repetition, right? Contrast, repetition. It's a mix of all the different principles, basically, right? But that just goes to show you how the principles of design work and how you can actually make people see what you want them to see. Remember what I said earlier, that design is communication. You want people to see what you want them to see, right? So you want, if I wanted you to read something else first, there's a different way I will have arranged this. All right. Oh, by the way, and I didn't arrange this, is on the internet. I'll give you another piece of advice down below when I'm giving you good design advice. Okay, so I'm so sorry today I don't have a lot of icebreakers because we don't have a lot of time. Yeah. Alignment. Now this is one of the biggest lessons you will ever learn in design. Alignment, right? If you can see that proper alignment in design means that every element in it is visually connected to one another element, right? So alignment allows cohesiveness. Nothing feels out of place, disconnected when you have completely aligned your design. If you look at the previous design, you can see the alignment. Everything here is aligned to the left, right? But they played with the sizes and the placement. I mean, of course, we read from left to right. That's why this thing is put from left to right. If it was Arabic, it would probably be from right to left. Do you get? So you have to be intentional about who your users are. How do they read? Yeah. So let me say a little more about alignments. Look at this picture. You can tell that this not aligned is out of place. Okay, so let me explain some best practices for alignment. Everything should have a visual connection with something else, right? And there'll be more practicals on how this is going to look like tomorrow, okay? Choose a hard line and stick with it throughout all the materials. So typically left, right, or center alignments. I mean, I'll tell you something else. They say learn the principles of design so you can break them, okay? But learn them first, yeah? Now, it means that you will see some designs that are not aligned, but they still make sense, right? Whoever designed it is working on a high level design skill, right? That's okay. Maybe that might be unnecessary, but for a beginner, to be honest with you, just do alignment, right? It's going to help your design. Even the professionals use alignments. Just once in a while, they do all those crazy things that are like, oh my God, this doesn't look aligned, right? Exactly. This not aligned can serve as contrasts. Oh my God, you're getting me. I love it. You can use alignment to actually create.
I can't hear anything again.
Me too.
Same here.
Let's give him a second. I think he's then so that the network. Network is really bad today. Really, really bad.
Yeah, I think so too.
I can't hear anything.
Hi everyone. I'm so sorry. I just realized that my internet went off. But I'm back on. Let me know the last thing you heard from me so I can continue from there.
The last thing was alignment. You were talking about alignment, basically.
Okay, cool. All right. So that's the last thing you heard. All right. So I'm sharing my screen now to continue from what I was talking about with alignment. Okay. I said alignments can actually form contrast. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to continue with the design I was using. All right. So yeah. So I was working on this and I was talking about how here you can see how all the elements are aligned in the middle, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They are aligned to the middle center. Okay. If I group them and I move them together, right, and I take them up, they're still aligned to the top left. So the alignment is still good, right? Imagine that I bring it down, it's still aligned to the left, which is nice. Now, this is where we start to have problems when you have something like this. Okay. Like there's some beauty to it, but it feels unarranged. And there's something about the human eyes that loves order. Okay. So alignment gives order to your design, basically. So never forget that. If you want your design to look very clean, it will need to have order. Okay. So if you look at my slides, you can tell that, look, if you look from here, everything is aligned to the left here. My image is on the right. Okay. Aha, now this is a very sweet example of what alignment looks like. This that you have here is rubbish, is not alignment. Here, everything is aligned to the left. Here, everything is aligned to the middle. Here, everything is aligned to the right. Right, and you can just see how it looks less chaotic when it's properly aligned. So please remember the role of alignment in your design. Okay. Proximity is the next and last principle, right? Proximity allows for visual identity in a design. If two elements are related to each other, they should be placed in close proximity to one another. Okay. When you do that, it minimizes the visual clutter, so you don't have a design that doesn't look organized. Yeah. Imagine if the proximity text here wasn't here and it was somewhere else. You won't be able to relate proximity, the text, with all these designs. Okay. Okay, so this is a repetition. Yeah. Now, this is what proximity looks like. Don't scatter your fruits like this. Gather all the apples together. Gather all the oranges together. Gather the grapes together in one place. Gather the different types of oranges in another place. Gather all the different types of pears in another place. So that there's some cohesion. Everything looks arranged. You know what you're looking for. Okay? So in your design, you want to make sure that everything is properly placed such that nobody is trying to find something and they don't know where to find it. Okay? Now, this is exactly what proximity looks like. Look at this. All the text are the exact same size. It doesn't make any sense. But here, you can tell, just like that design I showed you, right? The most important thing should be the biggest. June's virtual office hours. That's the first thing that you want to see. Right? And because, you know, there's a way our eyes count for information. We're not looking to read everything. We're just looking for what's the most important thing here. Let me just see the most important thing here. So when you design something like what is on the left, it's going to be difficult for people to see it. If you notice, when you go to people's offices and they have their names, you see their names are big and their titles are small. Why aren't they the same size? Because the name is more important than the title. Okay, so like that's the common sense rule of it's also a way of creating hierarchy in your elements, in this case text elements. Okay, so you can see that's why if you look at many designs, for example, you know what, let me show you a sample banner design on Canva and I'll explain what I'm explaining, what I'm trying to convey with what's this thing I was just talking about? Oh my god.
Proximity.
Proximity. Okay. Thank you. I froze. Okay, so I'm going to search on my templates now, right? And I'm just going to try and find a design. Let's see, I'm looking for a welcome back to school. Welcome back design. All right. You know what? Let's use the party. Party invitation, exactly. Now, when you see a party invitation, right? Because you are looking for different types of things. So typically, this biggest one is going to be the most important thing. Happy New Year, or you know what? Now you can see how Canva works, right? I'm just going to edit this. Let's say Samuel's birthday party. No, this is a feminine designish. Oh God, yeah, it is actually. They're using feminine colors. So let me say, what's the female name? Dara. Dara's turn up. Right? That's the most important thing you want people to see. When someone sees this, they know, oh, this is Dara's turn up. Obviously, this font is kind of not very obvious, so you might want to edit it, but that's not what we're about today. Okay. I'm going to do more on that. But when you see this, we're turning up for the new year, right? This is probably the second most important thing you want to see. Dara's turn up. What is Dara's turn up? Or turn up for the new year. And then here is where you have something like your date and time. All right. So somehow our minds have conditioned designs or the things that we see. Basically, that's why they arrange books in the library. You don't want to start looking up and down for when you go to the library, they divide everything in humanities section, right? Because we naturally help. I mean, when you arrange things like that, it helps your eyes to see the most important things when you need to see it. Okay, so let me do a recap of the things that we have done, right? And I'll just do something small on colors, and we'll continue from there in our next class. Okay, so I'm going to do a recap of the 4 principles of design I mentioned today. CRAP: contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity. All right, so contrast means you're making elements different. You want something to pop. You want something to be the most outstanding, right? So making elements different increases understanding, right? It's going to help me understand what you're trying to pass across, what the emphasis is. Wow, yeah. So repetition, when you repeat visual elements, it creates strong unity in your design, okay? Alignment, nothing should be placed arbitrarily. Placement illustrates relationships. So where you keep things illustrates that they have a relationship with one another. Yeah. Proximity, related items should be placed together. Okay. Don't reinvent the wheel, just improve it. This is a design I want to give you as a designer, right? You don't want to reinvent something that already exists. To be honest with you, 80% of the information on this slide I got on the internet, right? It's not like you don't know where the information is. It's just you probably want somebody to be able to explain it in a more relatable way. Do you get? And why would I start to generate content that already exists, right? It just makes sense to get content, develop it, and express it in a different way. Okay. So if you want to start design, please don't try to reinvent the wheel. Just make it special. Okay, let me touch on colors just a bit because I know some people mentioned colors, right? Now, you must have heard of the color wheel when you're in primary school, secondary school, and you didn't want to pay attention. So it has come back to you now. All right. So let me briefly explain how it works. Okay. Primary colors are red, green, and blue, right? And you can see it's kind of like a triangle. Just think of it as a triangle. Do you get? I'm sure in some of our primary and secondary school text, we used to see that triangle, but you can see these 3 colors on the color wheel. What you have here is a color wheel. Okay. Now these 3 colors are the primary colors. They can work together many times. Yeah. Now, when you mix blue and red, you get purple. That's what we have here. Okay. When you mix red and yellow, that's what we have here as orange. So mixing 2 primary colors will give you a secondary color. That's the simple logic behind it. When you mix blue and orange, blue and yellow will give you green. Okay. So primary colors, just that's how they came. There's no explanation for primary colors. Secondary colors are a combination of 2 primary colors. Okay. And there are only 3 secondary colors because there are only 3 primary colors. I mean, when you mix them in equal proportion. Okay. Now, tertiary colors are a mixture of a primary and a secondary color. So it's like mixing green here with this color here. This, the color that's supposed to be here is blue. So imagine green and blue, you're going to have blue green. Imagine green and yellow, you're going to have like lemonish, right? So that's how tertiary colors work. So those are the 3 classes of colors. Now, complementary and analogous are just a way of categorizing colors. They usually work very well together. Complementary colors work well together. If you see here, you have green and red, Christmas. It already brings Christmas to your mind very easily. They work very well together. So you can see here, blue and orange. They are opposite each other. So complementary colors are colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel, right? So that's how complementary colors work. So you can see yellow and purple, and you already have an idea of what a mixture looks like. Okay. So complementary colors work together. So if you are lost in your design, you can try and just Google color wheel, just find what the colors are and you can mix them that way. Analogous colors are colors that are together on the color wheel. So it's like a shade. So it's like moving from purple to red. All those colors in between, right? They'll form a really nice design. So in our next class, we're going to make some designs with these colors, and you will see how they work. Complementary colors and analogous colors. All right. So this is the end of the slide. In our next class, we're going to be, blue-green is a color actually. In our next class, we're going to be doing actual designs. We're going to be designing banners. We're going to be designing logos. We're going to be designing business cards. We're going to be designing all those things. And you would see in practical, you see how these principles of design work in practice. Okay. Any questions? So we are supposed to have 15 minutes for questions. You can use your mic, except you are two people talking, so one person should just keep quiet.
Can we unmute?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Thank you so much for this presentation. It was really good. So I know that Canva has like a lot of designs on there. And is it recommended to use the ones you already created, like the ones that the templates? Because I use that a lot, but then I feel like I'm stealing someone else's intellectual property. So I don't know if you recommend against that.
Okay, to be honest, in our next class, I'm going to talk more about that. The way Canva is, let me just say, a blessing, right? Because it just makes it easy for you to design, right? And as a matter of fact, as a non-designer, if a non-designer wants to use Canva, the worst thing you can do is try to over-edit their templates, because you then scatter all the principles of design that they've already arranged together, right? So don't feel guilty. They created it for you, right? So feel free to use it. But what I can advise is, because Canva is open source, so everybody can use Canva, right? What you would then start to see is that your design is looking like every other person's design, and you don't want that, okay? So that's where you now have to be creative. I want to make mine look much different than what it currently looks like. So I'm going to start with a template in our next class, and by the time we're done, you will not recognize that template. Yeah, so I'll show you how to do that, and I'll show you the things that will guide how you change, what to change, why you should change what, and why you should not change what. Okay. So thank you. Any other question?
Hi, PD. Thank you so much.
Hi, Samuel.
I don't know if you can touch more on proximity.
Okay.
Yeah. If I really didn't catch it. Like, I really did catch it though. So, as in proximity in terms of the design elements.
Okay. So let me. Yes, exactly. Proximity in terms of gathering design elements that should be together. So when you see maybe a banner for an event, for example, you notice dates, time, and venue are usually together, right? That's an attempt at proximity, to keep those three sets of information together in the same place, because you would naturally need them together. If you see that same kind of banner, maybe if it's a church banner, for example, the title of the sermon is going to be the biggest thing and is most likely going to be in the middle, because that's what they want you to see first. Do you get? So the idea is you want to keep the things that need to be together. So if you notice, they'll put time, venue, and location together. Picture will be somewhere else. Then there'll be another place where they'll put maybe the organization that is funding or hosting the event. Please, can you save the Daraston of design? Okay. That's what, if you see that kind of design now, the organization that is hosting that design is not going to be the biggest thing. It will most likely be small. Exactly. So that's the idea of proximity, putting things that should be together and separating them from another set of things that should be together. That's the basic idea of proximity.
Okay, so from your explanation, it sounds like hierarchy and alignments.
Yes, like yeah, exactly. Actually, so the elements of design don't work in isolation,
Oh,
but I
okay.
just use proximity to help you understand a concept of actually separating elements that are together.
Okay.
Do you get?
I get that. Yeah, I
Exactly.
get that.
Yeah. It's
Thank
like
you.
you can achieve hierarchy without repetition because you need to repeat for something to. Sorry, you can achieve contrast without repetition
Yeah.
because if it's not if it's not repeated, if it's not repeated, you can't
Yeah,
make one pop. Yeah.
true.
Um.
Thanks a
Okay,
lot.
I'm here. You're welcome. In a bit to follow the design principles of design, some designs look noisy, most especially when trying repetition. So how do I have a balanced design still? Sorry, let me read slowly. In a bit to follow the principle of design, sometimes some designs look noisy, most especially when trying repetition. So how do I have a balanced design and still keep to using the elements well? So one of the things that will guide your usage of the element is hierarchy. Hierarchy in the sense that what do you want to be the most important thing? If you have your most important thing as the biggest element, it's going to help you to create less noise. And another thing that I did not even mention that we'll talk about obviously in our next class is space. So in a design, you want to actually have space for all the elements to actually just be organized together in. Yeah. So I'm going to deconstruct some banners for you, right? So that you start to understand how these principles work and how the elements work. When I say deconstruct, I mean I'll show us a real banner. I'll show us how they apply the different principles to get to what they got to. Do you get? So if you want to follow design principles, you need to actually apply the principles. Funny enough, yeah, you need to apply the principles to have a balanced design. So you will not pick and choose. You have to apply everything at the same time. You have to have repetition. You have to have contrast. You have to apply all the principles together and you also have to apply those principles in terms of context. For example, if I'm designing a banner, hierarchy is super important. I need to make the biggest things biggest. I need to make the smallest things smallest, depending on what I want you to see, right? But if I'm designing a pattern for a cloth, right, I don't need much more than repetition and contrast because it's literally just a pattern. Do you get? So depending on what you're designing, you will determine how many elements you should apply and how many principles you should apply at the same time. Question, does hierarchy have to be represented just in different sizes? No. Hierarchy can be represented in different sizes, different shades, you can represent hierarchy not just with size, you can represent hierarchy with color as well. Can you briefly explain hierarchy and contrast? Okay, I'm coming. Is the difference in size not the only way of representing or applying hierarchy to a design? Well, not necessarily, but in most cases, yes. That's one of the biggest, most important ways to apply hierarchy, by scale, size, right? That's in a way you are very correct. One of the most primary ways to create hierarchies with size, but sometimes it can actually be through color. It can also be through concentration of different elements. Okay, so I think next class will be much more helpful with explaining how these principles work, because it's difficult to comprehend the principles and elements in isolation. Okay, can you briefly explain hierarchy and contrast? Hierarchy is simply making the most important thing the biggest in a sense, and making the least important things the smallest. Okay, contrast is, in a sense, that can create contrast, right? So many times contrast and hierarchy are interchangeable, but sometimes you can create contrast without hierarchy, in the sense that if I have a whole pattern of red dots everywhere and I change one dot to green, that dot that is green has contrast, but not necessarily hierarchy. Do you get? But in a sense, it's still creating a hierarchy because that's the first thing I'm going to look at. So it's just grammar that's plenty. When you start to learn design in the sense, you will not even remember the principles. You will actually just apply them subconsciously. So next class will be more practical, so you get a better hang of. Yes, it could also be in the positioning. Yes, thank you, Ernest. It could also be in the positioning. Any other question before we call it a day?
Yeah, I do. Can you hear me though?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So I've been using Canva for a while, but I think the biggest
Nice.
thing is when you have the same design and you want to do different sizes. So let's say you kind of did the design on an Instagram size and you're trying to redesign it and resize it. So resize it to probably Instagram story
Twitter.
or a presentation or something. So I think the biggest thing that really gets to me is the proximity. So when I change the size, there's a lot of spacing around it. And there's no how we can repair it or change it without not changing the original design or changing what the Instagram design was, or kind of keeping the same branding or the same sizing or the same I think you get the idea. So
I get the idea. It's like when you're designing the same thing for all social media platforms and you want to retain the exact same elements.
Exactly.
Now, okay, so I'll go through that. I'll go through that maybe on the class on Friday, right? And basically you just need to apply the same principles of design in doing that. It's difficult to explain with mouth. Yeah, mouth. So on Friday I'm going to do that.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right.
You're welcome. Any other question? 2 minutes to 9. 2 minutes to 10, sorry.
Thank you so much,
we're
sir.
having 3 classes. You're welcome. Sorry, somebody asked how many classes we're having. We're having 3 classes, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So Monday is for introduction, Wednesday is for hands-on practice of working with Canva, and then Friday is for collaboration. So we're going to work together on Friday. All right, Lexis.
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. I'm kind of using my computer to connect right now, and I just want to ask on a lighter note if, okay, for those of us who are using computer, if we can actually record the session. I don't know if it's possible.
Yeah, you can. Feel free to.
But I tried it. The icon is not showing on my PC, and so I thought maybe, I might need to be made, I don't know, an admin, just the way Zoom does it.
Okay. So to be honest, right? I plan to sell the replays of this class. Okay. So for those who don't make this class, they'll probably have to pay to watch the replays. So on a business sense, it will not make sense for me to do that. But I mean, if you're watching it and you can record it, I mean, since you're watching it, you can feel free to do that. But you get what I'm saying?
I understand perfectly, sir.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
No problem.
Thank
No
you so
problem.
much.
No problem. No problem. You're welcome. Can we join the next cohort? Yeah, you can. I think. Any other question? Please, if you have any suggestions, please feel free to reach out to me. Just send me a message. I'll put my email address. I'll change from MTN. So please reach out to me if you have any suggestions on how I can actually make class better and any other thing that you think can be better. So thank you so much, guys. I think we've come to the end of the class. Yeah? Cool. All right, so see you guys on Wednesday. I will share some. You're welcome. I will share some resources on the WhatsApp group that you can go through before the next class. If you don't go through it, I mean, there's no punishment, but it's just going to help you to flow with the next class. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have a good night. God bless you. Yeah, I'll send your regards to Bora.